live. We are live on Instagram, Facebook. We are at Kick, YouTube, and so many more. Did I mention YouTube? We're also live on many places besides that. The reason we're getting live with you guys today, I'm going to make sure this is working, is we're going to talk a little more about crypto with you. And, we're live right there. That's awesome. And we are live. Just double checking with everybody here. We are live. All right, everybody. So we got Dave and Mike here. We had a great show the other day about crypto, and it went viral. It was very, very impressive with what's happening. A lot of people had questions for us on the crypto podcast. We're going to try and do this Mondays and Fridays, twice a week, and talk about what crypto is, what's happening in the crypto market, and make sure that people can have a chance to learn more about this. Get involved if you want. Remember, this is not financial advice, but we want to make sure we can try and get you as much information as possible so you can become as educated as possible. And remember that I'm in real estate, Mike's in mortgages. That's what our primary life is all about. If you ever need a mortgage or if you ever need to buy a house or sell a house, I would love to help you. But let's get into the crypto. And today we're going to talk about stable coins. So I'm not sure how many people out there actually know what a stable coin is. Mike, can you kind of give a little brief introduction of what a stable coin is?
Stable coin, the best example of a stable coin is your dollar in your wallet. It's stable. It's that dollar. Even though we all see inflation happening and your dollar is losing value, a stable coin is going to be stable and tied to your actual dollar.
Now, it's interesting, Mike is talking about it being stable. And in his hand, he happens to have some magic chips. These magic chips may be very familiar to you. You may have seen these before. Mike, can you just get a little closer shot of what these chips are? If you've been to Foxwoods or Mohegan.
This is Mohegan Sun.
If you've been to Mohegan Sun before, the casino, you would definitely have probably gambled. Or maybe you just joined a friend who was gambling or having there for some drinks or some fun. But the idea is when you go to a casino, you don't think twice about the fact you're taking actual cash money, giving it into a teller or a machine, and getting chips out. And these are representative of what stable coins are, right?
Yep. And what I really wanted to say was you go to the casino, they give you a 25 and they give you a 5. You got $30 at Mohegan Sun. Try taking these 2 tokens over to Foxwoods down the street. How far are you going to get with that?
That's a very good point, actually. You make a very good point. Can you use your Foxwoods chips at Mohegan Sun and vice versa?
No.
They're both casinos, both owned by the Indians.
Nope. So what do you end up doing? You're cashing out at Foxwoods.
Or you don't, you forget to.
Well, then that's how these 2 ended up at my house. My son forgot to cash his out. So it's still a stable coin for the purposes of.
Could he go to Target and buy clothes or food with that?
No.
You
can't go. I mean, I personally know its value. I know Mohegan's still around. I'd be the black market. I would say I'll give you $20 for that 25.
Right.
And I'll give you $2 for the 5, right. And then I'd go to Mohegan Sun and I'd make up the difference.
Yes.
So it works.
Yes.
However, in general, they're worthless once you leave the Mohegan Sun. So my point to the whole thing was what's happening is you have to cash out before you leave. And what are you doing? You're cashing out with US dollars to be able to turn around and take that. So the US dollar is the stable coin to go to Foxwoods.
Yes.
And it will be the same. Now, let's say you wanted to go to the Bellagio in Vegas. Vegas ain't going to use either one of these chips, and you're not going to get anything with it.
But you're saying you can't use the Foxwoods chips at Vegas?
Not that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, unless if they're tied somehow that I don't know about.
Right.
They're useless.
Right.
In Vegas.
So how does this relate to crypto?
Well, where I'm going to go first of all with that is I just want to say, so what do we do every time? We have to always turn it back into US dollars, and then the US dollar then has to be purchased again. You have to buy the token in Vegas or you have to buy it at Foxwoods. You're always turning it into US dollar. However, what happens now if you want to take these same things and you want to go to Macau? let's say you want to take it to Hong Kong.
Wow.
Once again, now you can't even use you can't even use the US dollar and go to Macau. Typically, that's not going to be something. So you're going to have to actually trade your dollars for the Chinese currency to be able to buy and be able to gamble in Macau. And so that's where I was trying to go with here, is that it works great in America, but once you want to go internationally, that's where stable coins, the stable coins are great for individual things. Now they're saying that stable coins, it's so new, regulations are coming out for stable coins this summer in Congress. It's either going to be in, I think, July or August. It's supposed to be the stable coin regulations. But where I'm trying to go is that once those regulations come, you're going to see a stable coin for Apple. You're going to see a stable coin for Samsung. You're going to see a stable coin for your local bank. Bank of America will have their own stable coin. Everybody's going to have their own stable coin. But nobody outside of those institutions are typically going to want to deal with that individual stable coin.
Well, you're not going to take your Apple stable coin and go to whatever place. You're going to use your own stable coin to each place, right?
Right.
Now the advantage over here, we're linking to something very important though, right? Because obviously the stable coin to a business and their individual partnerships with that stable coin is, how do we get to XRP with that?
Well, XRP is the bridge currency. They call it the bridge currency. So you can literally turn around and use your currency in America and then switch it over to Macau, for example, and do the exact same thing without ever having to worry about transfers. And because of that, and because of that, you're not losing money on those currency exchanges when you're going outside of America, which is the key thing to realize.
Not to mention, again, just to explain XRP, what it is, the ledger of XRP. Again, this is something we like to talk about because it's important for you to know about it. There's many great cryptocurrencies that may be available. What does it say? Paused due to poor connection. Oh, well, Instagram was paused for a second. I just saw my glasses are off and couldn't see the writing. If you're out there on Instagram watching and listening, I'm hoping you're paying attention. If you have questions, thank you so much for being part of the show. I can't see for myself how far. Who is that? I can't see the thing over there. That Miss. I can't see it. I'm sorry. The iPad is so far away. I can't see what it is. But thank you for being part of our show and watching and listening and asking questions.
This is a low budget operation. Usually we have somebody here doing the
we have
stuff.
Somebody in the background watching.
Yeah, exactly. This is a low budget operation.
Going back to XRP, which is the XRP ledger, which is what every major bank, every credit card machine, every institution is going to end up using.
We're expecting that to be the case.
We're expecting it's a very, what's what they're talking about.
I mean, there's a lot of banks that have already signed on board for sure, but regulations are still coming, and like I mentioned at last week's podcast, is that, a lot of them are still,
they're still using
non-disclosures,
right,
and all that kind of stuff.
Right now they're all using Swift.
Correct. And I think what's going to end up happening is the XRP ledger is going to be at least working with Swift. I'm not going to say replacing them, but they're definitely going to be working with Swift to help move money much quicker and with a lot less expenses.
So going back from the stable coin, which is important to understand the connection over here on the stable coin, which is a coin being used by each company. They're going to come up with one you mentioned, which is great.
Right.
I threw you off track. I apologize.
No, you're good.
And then the value is that you can't use your Foxwoods chips at Target to buy stuff.
Right.
But what will happen is once the crypto or digital assets become a very common use of financial services, right?
It will be.
It'll be what's happening everywhere. So again, you learning about this information now and understanding a little bit about it, you have a chance to get involved in the digital asset world, also as crypto, before it goes through all the regulations, right?
Yep.
Now, there's a lot of other cryptos, right, that you would mention that be of value to people.
Yeah, well, but we can talk about those in the future. I mean, how far are we into this thing? I don't want to keep it too long.
We are only 10 minutes in.
We're only 10 minutes in?
Only 10 minutes in.
All right.
Some time over there. So let's talk about the, again, the blockchain, the stable coin,
Stablecoins,
the
yeah.
relationship to stable coin and blockchain. Can you
Right.
give a little of information on that?
So, basically what's happening is this, is that the stable coins are going to be the off ramps to be able for investment. So if you, for example, when I like to think that blockchain is going to be like the Pac-Man of the world, the Pac-Man that's going to acquire and take
Good
over
analogy.
a lot of the, thank you. It's going to take over a lot of the existing financial system. So for example, they're talking about all the derivative market having to go on to blockchain. When that happens, why will they do it? They're going to save a ton of money when blockchain is using everything. But when it does, it's basically going to be the Pac-Man and biting and taking over the whole derivatives market. And when it takes over the derivatives market, it will then go after the bond market. And then when it goes after the bond market, it will then be taking over the stock market. Not that it's taking over, but it's changing the rails on how all of these things are spending their money and how it's being used. It's just going to be much more efficient. But when it does take those things over, it's going to mean blockchains are going to be a lot more expensive because you can't, right now, XRP is under $2. You can't move billions and billions of dollars on a daily basis on a $2 token. So our speculation and our belief is that values are going to be much higher than where we are right now.
It's not just our beliefs. It's a belief that's really being circulated through the crypto world. Is that fair to say? Digital asset.
Yeah.
When we use the word digital asset in crypto is the same. Some people prefer the word digital asset because it's what it is. Some people know the word crypto. We talked about this in the last podcast because people think of the word crypto and link it right away to Bitcoin, which is what it is. The godfather of crypto. Would that be called the godfather? Right, the godfather. The godfather of crypto is Bitcoin, and it's I'll call it the backing of crypto value, kind of like the gold and the dollar. Would that be a very good analogy, if you will? Kind of a synonym, kind of sort of for now. Because what happens is there'll be others that may be even taking place with Bitcoin. It's possible.
Yep. I personally believe that Bitcoin was the first, but it's not going to be the best.
Right.
That's my take. And the reason why I say it's not is because it's the utility. For example, if you want to do move a Bitcoin around the world, it's going to cost you money to do it. It's not cheap.
You just mentioned something you're reminding me about that situation that happened to me. I was at TD Bank. I wanted to put some money at Connex Bank, and I went to get a certified bank check. And when I was at Connex, they said to me, it'll take 5, 6, 7 days for the money to clear. Again, a certified bank check to clear inside another bank. It wasn't like I was saying to Mike, and he was bringing to XJZ Bank. It was like a bank to bank that's a well-known bank. And there's a cost involved to do these kind of procedures where the future of this kind of asset of moving your money, you cannot Zelle or Venmo.
I was at the bank today for a wire and they said if they did the wire for me, I'm not going to give the name of the bank. They do the wire, it was going to cost $40 to do it. The wire went quickly. I got to say, I was shocked that it was within the United States, but it was there within a couple of hours. So I was happy with that. But I told her, I said, this is not going to last long. I said, because on my phone, I could literally move that same money and it would cost less than a penny.
Right.
To move that same thing, and I could do it right from my phone. I really don't even need a computer to be able to do it.
Now, is that currently the system we have, or you're saying later on in the future with, let's say, something like XRP?
No, I mean, the system's there now. I mean, right now you can pull out your phone, I can pull out my phone, and I could send you.
Yes.
I could send it to you right now.
Limited how much money you can send. You're limited how much you can send.
Not on XRP, you're not limited.
Exactly.
There's no limit.
So on XRP, that's the whole point of this, because you can Zelle somebody money. It gets up to $2,500 a day, maybe, or $1,500 a day. But once you get to the XRP ledger and it becomes the mainstream of what the banks are using, there'll be unlimited amounts of money you can transfer And not only the amount of money you can transfer, but in addition to that, the actual dollar amounts you can transfer and the cost of it is going to be pennies.
Completely. And, I mean, think about all the money right now. For example, if you have someone here working in healthcare and they're sending money back to the Philippines to their family, they're paying a literal fortune to move that money on a weekly basis.
We have clients that are buying a house that live in Jamaica. They want to bring money from Jamaica or Haiti or from other countries, from the Middle East or from Europe, to bring the money over here. It is absolute chaos with documents and preparation and the time it takes to get the money here. Am I right? I mean, like these guys have to go through going through a major tushy exam. But in order to get the money into this country, and then you have to prove everything, where on the blockchain, it is something that is, you cannot lie about the blockchain. It's there, it's imprinted, it cannot be changed, and you can't, it's like legit, it's straight as an arrow.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all, straight and narrow, all that stuff is fine and dandy. But the point is, the whole thing is, it's 3 to 5 seconds and it costs you less than a penny versus paying your bank to move the money to
one
the
bank
Philippines.
to another bank is going
to. No, I mean, if everybody had blockchain, in the Philippines and had them in the United States, they could do it in 3 to 5 seconds. It would cost less than a penny. There's no reason right now with people, if they wanted to figure it out, if they have family out of the country, they can literally set this kind of stuff up.
What you're walking into right now, again, is that something you may not have even heard of before. You may have heard a little bit about it. You may be uncomfortable with the conversation about it because you're not knowledgeable. Start to do some research, learn about this opportunity, because it's coming. And it could be a few months, it could be a year, it could be a little longer. There's speculation that's going to happen much sooner than they planned on, especially with the government being very involved in this process.
I do want to, before we finish the thing up, I just want to say one thing. Dave said something to me the other day. He says, I just want people to understand the opportunity that could be in front of them. And he doesn't make a dime by being on this thing. I'm not making a dime by being on this thing. We're just sharing what we know to be what it is. So you can either gravitate towards it,
love us, or resent us. No, but honestly, it's just about education, getting you information, and hopefully one day you'll say, I saw these two guys who I know in real estate, who truly care about the people out there as friends, as clients. Listen, there's 5,700 people that follow me on Facebook. There's almost 60,000 on TikTok right now. Almost 60,000 people follow us on TikTok, which is amazing. Instagram, I think, is like 1,500. By the way, I want to thank Instagram for paying attention and watching over here. Instagram hopefully picks up a little more, but all these different media sources we use have different flows of people from all over the world. And if for people to have a chance to watch and learn, as a matter of fact, again, we talked about this before, only 5% of the world is right now involved in cryptocurrency, which is even more to make you go, do I feel comfortable with that? As opposed to, wow, only 5%. And we know this is coming down the pipe. So if you get involved in it and have a chance to buy things at a very, very fractionals of costs, again, this is not financial advice, but you took extra spare money and you said to put a little bit into it, to kind of buy into, kind of like you buy stocks and bonds and everything else, right? And start to have a little bit of a diversity of your funds. Would that be a good way to put it?
This would be like buying, this is going to be like those that were in the internet in the 1990s, in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? In the 90s, when the internet first came out, I remember being right out of college and we had the dial-up AOL, making all the sounds, Nobody was, we were embracing it. We were young. We were starting to look at it, and look where we are today. We're streaming right now live on the internet, on people's phones, which
all over the world.
Yeah.
We are in over 50 international countries right now streaming live, which is insane.
It's crazy.
And crazy. With that being said, the feedback, the messages, the different kind of responses, again, one of the reasons why we're doing this, because it started to take off in the last podcast, which I had an idea that it would, There are more and more people asking questions. More and more people are getting involved. More people want to learn. Again, the guy at the gym, who's such a nice guy, he's an older man like ourselves, and he'll tell me, he's always tells me he's older. And his brother is very much involved, who's older than he is, about crypto. And every time his brother talks to him about the crypto, it's like so overwhelming what he says to him that he just shuts down and he can't kind of comprehend it. So when I mentioned about the last podcast we did that involved talking about crypto and digital assets, he said, let me listen to it because I know who you are. I feel comfortable. Let me kind of get my toes in a little bit to learn more about it. And this is what we want to do for you. We want you as individuals who are out there who are not involved, maybe who are a little bit involved or have questions about it. Listen, we may not be the experts, and we want to bring more experts on the show to talk more about it. But if you have questions, we want to be a resource for you and hopefully help you get to that next place in your life that you couldn't be before because you didn't know about it. I've been talking to family. Some of my family is all about it. Some of my family's like, leave me alone. I don't want to hear about it. It's funny how that is. Slowly, more and more families kind of getting involved and hearing about it and talking about it. And they're excited about it. I mean, there's a huge future about to happen. And I say about, it could be months, it could be a year, it could be a little longer. But we know over the next couple of years, the platform is going to change dramatically. And what you can buy now for pennies in the dollar or dollars in the millions of dollars is going to be skyrocketing, especially when it goes through government and becomes regulated.
Well, yeah, and
the regulations are already coming.
The NFTs are still, not the NFTs, excuse me, the EFTs, the exchange traded funds.
Right.
There's a lot of them that are coming. Bitcoin's been the only one, I believe. Maybe Ethereum has some. I don't recall if they ever went or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's going to be a lot more of them, and as that comes on, you're going to see all this institutional money. You're going to see all these people with money in their 401ks that are all going to be buying hands over fist that you can buy right now that the institutions still can't sell to you right now. So
let me just see something. I see my wife over here texting me. Hopefully it's good things she's telling me over here.
She's saying get off the line.
What time are you going to be home for dinner? Which I appreciate. Thank you so much for asking what time I'm going to be home. We're going to be basically coming to end. We're going to try and do this twice a week.
Yeah, keep them short. Keep them short.
We want to keep this interesting. We want to keep it short, and we want to make sure we have your interest. Like it, hit a Smishity Smash, please. If you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up. Please share this with your friends and family, please, because you know what? You might help somebody else who didn't have a chance to listen to this. And we'd like to be people that you kind of know you can come to and talk to about this. Again, mortgage broker, real estate agent. Love to earn your business in real estate and mortgages, right? But at the meantime, while that's maybe not happening for you, this is something we can offer for some education on and help you for your future. Absolutely. All right. Everybody, thank you so much. We want to thank you for being a part of this little live stream. Again, we're trying to do this on Mondays and Fridays. Tuesdays, we always do our podcast, the Team Powerhouse Show. Not replacing that at all. Tomorrow night, we're going to have our friend Jen Crowley from Ask Insurance. Great girl. Don't want to miss the show. That's Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to wish you a wonderful night. And we're going to end. That one.